Holy smokes. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, ring it up. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost. With a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I'll get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby, have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same.
Okay, enough of that. I don't know how many weeks in a row I have been Greg the Cooler. I have lost count. My Minnesota math, we do not count that high. We are going to only spend about 3 minutes on this. We got breaking news. Mike Norvell has been retained for the 2026 season. I believe it is a terrible mistake by the Florida State administration. Put down your comments, give me a phone call, agree, disagree, let me know. But I think it's an absolute terrible decision. Like, unbelievably bad decision by Florida State. We'll get to that in a minute. But talking about terrible, I know what terrible is. I know what being incompetent is. Because every morning when I wake up and I look in the mirror, I see the re-elected mayor of Louisville City. Every single morning. At least you guys have the option. You guys can turn this program off right now. You do not have to look at this mug. You do not have to look at this loser. You do not have to look or listen to Greg the Cooler. But I have to. I can't get away from myself. Let's take a look now. Remember my strategy. My strategy going into week 13. I went in it with a record of 71 and 73 against the spread. You all were 68 and 76. My strategy is that we were going to pick fewer games by a dramatic amount. I was going to narrow the scope. I was going to focus in on 5 football games, and that it would give me the best chance to finally finish above 500 during a week of football, that I can be Greg the Gold. Well, it did not work. Not only did it not work, it did not work in historic fashion. In fact, those in the PATC community who said, Greg, you're cheating. Greg, you're trying to make it so we can't catch up with you. Because we were 3 games behind you, Greg, in the win column. You're trying to limit the games so we Einsteins can't, we can't catch up with you. Well, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yes, I was trying to cheat. Yes, I was rigging it. Yes, I was. Absolutely. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. But it did not work. All of my rigging, all of my cheating did not work. Why? Why did it not work? Because I am truly Greg the Cooler. I am truly the re-elected mayor of Louisville City. And it ain't gonna stop. It's never going to stop until I flatline at Maple Grove Hospital in Minnesota. It ain't going to stop. Never. This is just another example of my incompetence. Let's take a look. Shall we? We did 5 games. USC and Oregon. I took USC. You all took Oregon. Well, congratulations. Congratulations, Einsteins. We both took Georgia Tech. We both got it wrong. Tennessee and Florida. I took Florida. You all took Tennessee. Congratulations, Einsteins. Congratulations. BYU, Cincinnati. I took Cincinnati. You all took BYU. Congratulations. I got that wrong. And then we both took East Carolina, and we both got it wrong. So, what does that all mean? You all went 3-2. The Einsteins went 3-2. And I went 0-5. And 5. I'm at a wedding on a Saturday during college football season. I just found out the Golden Gophers lost. During the evening, I'm looking at my picks against the spread. Loss, 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 loss. So now, my record is 71-78. Your record is 71-78. For the fourth year in a row, I am going to end up with a losing record. Statistically, that is basically impossible. But I have achieved it. I have achieved the greatest I have achieved the greatest level of loserdom, and I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to make it a word. I have achieved the greatest level of loserdom in all of college football YouTube channels. So I got that going for me. Not to mention the Golden Gophers are in so much trouble next year. But we're not going to talk about that either today. All right, let me do the roll call, and then we got to talk about Florida State. We're going to start off with Florida State. We're going to talk about these football games that happen. We're going to talk about the college football projections going to be coming around. The next rankings is Tuesday night. Don Scruggs is in the house. Ryan Brooks. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know. Come on down lane and bring Coach O. It's you. Go Tigers. I got a question for Ryan Brooks. I got a question. If it is LSU, and I believed it was LSU Friday, why is Josh Pate tweeting this out this morning? 11:24 Central Time. That is 11:24 in the morning Central Time. Why is Josh Pate? Why is he saying, I know where Lane will be in 2026? All I can say is, wow. Because he would not, if he truly knows where this is going, if he's heard the latest word, if Josh Pate has got inside information, he would not be saying, wow. And again, it could be Josh Pate putting out a bait, not knowing. And again, if that is what Josh Pate is doing, where he's just baiting everybody, why would he be doing that? I don't quite understand that. From a person from his position, the perch that he sits on, if he's truly just baiting, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Now, he might be staying at Ole Miss. That's correct. That might be what the tweet is about, but it ain't. Let's try to come to a consensus on this. If Josh Pate is not baiting, if Josh Pate actually has some inside information, I think we can agree that it would not be LSU if Josh Pate's post has any validity to it, any truth to it. Thank you, Ryan Brooks, for coming on in. Old Dad, old Seminole is in the house. We're going to be talking about the Seminoles here in a little bit. Day B, how can you bury BYU? We'll get to that in a little bit here. Skaven, yes, yes. Hello, Cornhusker. Tim is in the house. Dave Aranda is available. Rodney Richborg, go Tigers. Florida State knows the top coaching candidates are off the board. Interesting. There's no other coach out there that you can invest in, that you don't have to go all in on. You know, you can pay somebody a little less if the market is not telling you that you have to pay all that money. There's nobody out there, because I think keeping Mike Norvell is a much bigger gamble than letting him go and paying the massive buyout. I think it's a horrific gamble on Florida State's part. I have seen enough. I should have let off the show with this. I'm not able to read it yet. We got to confirm that I can at least read part of it. But late last night, BTM and Associates got an update from the Florida State Money Perch. And you remember the last time the Florida State Money Perch gave us information, a letter, and that was many months ago. He was utterly depressed about Florida State's position. And now he went off on the administrators last night. He did not tell us that Mike Norvell was going to be retained. He did not tell us that, because I reread it moments when the Mike Norvell information came out. I reread the email. He did not say either way, but you could tell and I'm going to try to read the email tomorrow on tomorrow's show, because there's a lot in there about a lot of things. But he went completely off on the administration. He went completely off. Having to do with conference realignment, conference affiliation, their standing in the ACC, Mike Norvell's situation. He completely went off. So after reading that late last night or early this morning, I think it was past midnight, and then rereading that again, and the decision on Mike Norvell, and then listening to the Florida State fan base, this is keeping Mike Norvell. I don't think he's going to make it, guys. I think he gets fired after next year. Okay, so the buyout goes down somewhat, but you're only going to dig yourself more of a hole, and you're going to lose money this year. There is no way the Florida State Seminole fan base and look, besides the Florida State fans and the North Carolina State Wolfpack fans, did any of you guys see that football game on Friday? I watched the whole thing, just like when I watched Florida State and Stanford. It was the same game. Not quite, but in my opinion, and again, just let me know if I got it all wrong. Let me know if I'm being too harsh. But that is not a good coach team at all. I mean, it's not. They're not being coached. let me put it to you this way. Florida State is going to end up with a top 30 defense. I think the world of Tony White. I think he had to make a lot of adjustments this year. But other than that, that is not a very well coached team at all. And they're not going to be very well coached team next year. And there is a reason why Mike Norvell, let's put it up here. Mike Norvell's coaching record. There is a reason 6 seasons, 4 of them with losing records. That there is very good reason for that. I don't think it's I don't think he should be the head coach of Florida State. That game on Friday night, I mean, there are so many examples. John Uzi is agreeing with me. If anyone saw that North Carolina State game, they would know Norvell should have been fired. I mean, come on, guys. North Carolina State's Wolfpack defense is as bad as the Gophers defense. Florida State. Now, friends call me Sean. Florida State wrote a check that they cannot cash. Contract buyouts. Florida State spent money on stadium renovations, a new football-only facility, 2 new expensive coordinators. Only so much. I get it. But they're going to lose money on this guy. They're going to lose money on this. They're not going to win. They went all in this year. Like the 2-10 season, that hole went way deeper than it should have been. But it happened. This season is even more concerning because they brought in a Gus Malzahn. They brought in a Tony White. They went in on the portal. They got the quarterback that they wanted, which I said during the offseason, Tommy Castellanos does not have a high enough ceiling as a quarterback. But I get it. Everybody told me, well, you're bringing in Gus Malzahn. He's a Gus Malzahn quarterback. But you're not going to be able to utilize, not that you have very good receipt. They have missed out on so much talent evaluations. And then now the Florida State is saying, we're going to go through a couple letters here. Not a couple letters, a couple pages of the letter that Florida State put out, saying they're going to make changes in the recruiting staff and all this. Man, your head coach is approving all of the people that you're bringing into your program. Your head coach is steering the ship. He's the one who wanted this offense. He's the one that approved Tommy Castellanos. Yeah, he great design, running plays, yada, yada, yada. You get down to the red zone, and you can't do anything. What happened? What has happened to the Florida State's development of their wide receivers? What has happened with the Florida State linebackers of the last 2 years? Brutal playing. This is Florida State. Florida State. This is Florida State. The fan base itself gives you a massive advantage over 95% of the ACC teams. Massive advantage. 4 out of 6 seasons losing record. And you're going into season 7? You're going into season 7. What's going to happen in season 7? Okay, you lower the buyout somewhat All right. Okay. But you are digging. Your hole is only getting deeper. The longer this lasts, the more difficult it is to get out of the hole. The more negative recruiting that you have to go against. The more apathy that you have to fight against. The less contributions that you're going to get. The less t-shirt sales you are going to get. The recruiting classes, the portal people, they're going to be asking, is Mike Norvell even going to be there the following year? The hole gets deeper and deeper. Go ask Nebraska how difficult it is to get out of a hole after you go through 6-7 years of Scott Frost. This is the Scott Frost era of Florida State, but you were able to have a 13-0 season in which you got absolutely screwed by outside forces. I think this is a terrible decision. Go to your university. Go to your endowment. Pay this guy out and then settle on somebody that you do not have to pay $10 million to. There are Morris, the head coach of North Texas. Silverfield, Memphis. There are guys that you can get out. There are head coaches out there who have had Matt Campbell. You don't have to spend all this type of money at first unless the coach succeeds over a couple years. You got to bring hope back into the program. You got to bring hope back to Seminole Nation. They've got no hope. There is no hope. The hope has been absolutely destroyed. And I got a feeling that people's opinion on this. I'm talking about outside of Florida State. I'm talking outside of Tallahassee. I'm talking about people like me, living up here in Minnesota, people out in Wyoming, people out in California, people out in Rhode Island, people in Ohio, Missouri. Us people, outside people. If you watched Florida State against North Carolina State, if you watch Florida State versus Stanford, if you watch Florida State over the last 2 years, in the confusion on the sideline, the massive confusion on the sideline, and compare that coaching with the Kalani Sitake, compare that coaching with the Whittingham, compare that coaching with Ryan Day. Forget about the talent. I'm just talking about getting people on the field, off the field, people knowing what they're supposed to do out there. It's a mess. And that all leads to Mike Norvell, in my strongly held opinion. The Golden Sombrero, absolutely 0-5. I am the Mike Norvell of college football YouTube channels. God. Okay. Jimmy Sexton suckered another team in an outrageous extension. 0-5. Absolutely. We don't have weddings. We have a no wedding rule during college football season. Well, again, this was a family that very close to me and Maria. From Mexico. The young man married a beautiful young woman from Guatemala. So they're not really paying attention to college football. It was a great time. Loved it. When I got home, I watched highlights. I read a bunch of stuff. Trying to get ready for the Aftermath show. John Teal. John Till, they missed out on Franklin at Florida State. Thank you for the $2 holla. Thank you for the super chat, John Till. Thank you for starting us off on this Sunday, November 23rd. Number one, they did not miss out on Franklin. They did not go after Franklin. You can't miss out on something if you don't go after it. And there are other coaches out there, guys. One of these coaches out there is going to end up being a superstar head coach at a higher level. They don't have hope right now. They don't have hope right now. And they should. That fan base deserves to have hope right now. Okay. Morris Simmons is in the house. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Bud Elliott, I hope not. I hope not. Bud Elliott was all for the extension of hopefully not Bud Elliott. That's just my opinion. Terry Smith will be a new next head coach, the interim of Penn State. Hartline, is he going to get an opportunity eventually? I do not know. Okay, let's get to it, guys. Again, we went through the games today. This Saturday. Congratulations for the PATC Einsteins. You all went 3-2. I went boom, boom, boom. And now we have the best record. We have the same record, 71 and 78. Getting back to the big breaking news. Ross Dellinger, Mike Norvell will return as Florida State's coach in 2026. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. The university president, athletic director, and the board are aligned in support of Norvell, who has pledged to make changes in areas of recruiting and player evaluation to enhance Florida State's roster. Again, the letter, Tallahassee. Florida State University today announced that Mike Norvell is being retained as the head coach with support from Florida State's leadership. Norvell has pledged to institute fundamental changes in specific areas to improve performance to meet Florida State's championship standard. Florida State Board of Trustees Chairman Peter Collins, Vice President and Director of Athletics Michael Alford, and I are in complete agreement, that is the President, that the Chancellor, the changes are needed to our program to improve, said Dr. Richard McAuliffe, Florida State's President. Coach Norvell embraces our support in that process. Well, of course he does. And agrees that success must be achieved. He continued to demonstrate. Coach Norvell has continued to demonstrate an unwavering belief in this football's future, this program's future, and so do we. This decision reflects a unified commitment to competing in the rapidly evolving landscape of college football while maintaining continuity within the program. This program has been built on belief, sacrifice, in putting the team first, Norvell said. That set of values has always guided my actions and those of our players. The drive and motivation behind this is to make certain that we are doing everything properly to obtain and retain elite players, add critical pieces, and sustain long-term success. I love Florida State. I'm fully committed to this program and our shared goals. In addition to addressing the reality that on-field results have been far from acceptable to the Florida State standard, we also realize our responsibilities as stewards of our program revenues and how best allocate those dollars to compete at the elite level. Something we will not compromise, said Collins. Throughout the assessment, one goal will remain beyond all others: achieving sustained championship level success we will address performance deficiencies in the program. These deficiencies may include structural changes to the very large and complex program Florida State football has become. And these areas are where we focus and invest. Our responsibility is to do what gives Florida State the strongest competitive position, not just today, but for years to come, said Alford. Florida State has invested hundreds of millions of dollars into its football program over the past few years with high expectations. Chairman Collins, President McAuliffe, and I are aligned in partnering with Coach and improving our ability to compete for championships. Our mission is unwavering in pulling Florida State football at the forefront of college athletics. Well, there it is. There it is. And I think this is a I happen to think it's a terrible decision. You can get the money from the university coffers, and you can make a commitment to doing everything that you just said, but with a new young coach, you can make all the commitments. You can get that North Texas head coach and bring in that quarterback, bring in that running back, probably, if you try. There is options out there. Mike Norvell, let me know if you are a Seminole fan. Let me know if you think I'm off my rocker. But I think a lot of you have a lot of coaching jobs open right now. And Florida State is one of the better jobs. Florida State is one of the better jobs. You're not getting James Franklin. You're not getting Lane Kiffin. But you can get somebody. Let me know, Florida State fans, is there hope with Mike Norvell? Can you get yourself to believe there is hope next year? I don't know, man. Old Dad says, I'm not off my rocker. Norvell is a G5 coach, period. Not ready for this level. Mike Norvell. Okay. College football playoff projections. Now, this is from Nicole Auerbach. This is from Nicole Auerbach. And I kind of agree with this projection. I kind of agree. Now the only one that I might change here is Virginia SMU, but whatever. The 11th seed is going to the ACC champion. Whoever that is. Whoever that is. The 12th seed right now is going to Tulane. And most likely the American champion. Most likely. James Madison. Most likely. James Madison has an outside shot probably. But most likely the American champion. And I think Georgia is going to get that 4th spot. Now, maybe they make it to the SEC championship game. They have their tiebreakers. Texas Tech number 5, Texas Tech number 4. I don't know. Thank you, Ryan Brooks. I'll get to that in a moment. Thank you for keeping your head on a swivel. The AP poll is out. We'll go through that. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 8, Oklahoma. I can see Oregon has probably moved out of that 8 or 9 game. They probably have gone to the 7th seed. Alabama, number 10. Now the question is, if Alabama goes to the SEC championship game and they lose that game, do they drop out? And then who replaces Alabama? Could that be Miami? Could that be BYU if they lose to Texas Tech? Or if Bama loses a close one, does the SEC keep Alabama at number 10? Does the playoff committee keep Alabama at number 10? 1, 2, and 3, again, about Texas A&M. They're probably going to have to win the SEC championship game to keep that number 3. But they're probably going to end up in the top 4. Buckeyes will probably end up in the top 4. Indiana. I think they've got this basically correct. Nicole has this basically correct on the projections. I do think that now let's take a look at the AP poll here. Have you guys been having problems with X in the last 24 hours? Man, I'm getting all types of problems with this. Okay, hold on. Okay, we got the rankings. Let's take a look at them. The new AP poll has been released. Illinois, Wake Forest, UConn, South Florida, UNLV, Iowa, Washington, San Diego State, Arizona, Missouri, Navy, Arizona State has all received votes. SMU at number 25. Number 24, Pittsburgh. Number 23, Georgia Tech. That is ACC, ACC, ACC. 25, 24, 23. Number 22, Tulane. Now again, we do not see James Madison anywhere. James Madison is not even getting a vote. Navy's got 44 votes. And again, it might be, and San Diego State's got 19. So the Mountain West Conference champion is not close, really. Number 21, North Texas, the American. Number 21, North Texas. Number 20, there's James Madison. Number 20 is James Madison. Holy smokes. They are ahead of Tulane in North Texas. That's a shocker. Look at that. Now, again, this is the AP poll. This is not the playoff committee. This is not the playoff committee. However, look at James Madison at number 20. Wow. Number 19, USC. Number 18, Tennessee. Number 17, Virginia. Texas at 16. Michigan at 15. Now, Michigan probably have put themselves in a position to where if they beat the Buckeyes, they're going to the playoffs. If they beat the number one team in the nation, they're going to the playoffs. So the game, Michigan and Ohio State, is basically a playoff game for the Wolverines. Win and you're in. Number 14, Utah. Again, that's what I predicted. I thought they would drop a couple of spots behind Miami and Vanderbilt, and that is what they did. And the AP poll has Vanderbilt ahead of Miami. Miami 12, Vanderbilt 12, Miami 13, Utah 14. Utah giving up all those rushing yards at home against Kansas State. Pulling out a victory was enough to drop them a couple of spots. Or one spot here. 11, BYU. The Cougars need to beat Texas Tech. That is the position that BYU is in. They have to win the Big 12 championship game. Number 10, Alabama. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 8, Oklahoma. None of these are surprises. Oregon has moved up to 7. No, they haven't. They moved past that. Number 7, Texas Tech. Number 6, Ole Miss. They've got Oregon all the way up to number 5. Wow. Wow. Not much of a vote differential between these three. 1295 Texas Tech. 1320 Ole Miss. 1326 Oregon. Number 4, Georgia. Number 3, Texas A&M. Number 2, Indiana. Number 1, Ohio State. Top 4, not a surprise. Oregon getting at number 5 is a surprise to me. Back down, and this is not a surprise to me. 11, 12, 13, 14, not a surprise. James Madison at number 20 is the shocker. Wow. Did any of you see that happening in the AP poll? North Texas 21. Oh man, it is going to be North Texas 21, Tulane 22. It is going to be fascinating to see what the playoff selection, what they do on Tuesday night. Where do they put James Madison? You got to think that they're not going to put him ahead of Tulane, right? Or am I missing something? They're not going to put him ahead of North Texas. Or am I missing something? But either way, that North Texas Tulane, the American Championship game, the winner of that game will probably boost the American team over, or if Navy's in there, over James Madison anyways. Correct? Two lost SEC teams missing out of the playoffs will blow up the system. Let's go! Let's go! Beautiful. That is exactly what I am praying for. Two lost SEC teams missing out of the playoffs will blow up the system. Let's go! Michael Smith, SMU has lost only one scheduled ACC game in 2 years, and they wouldn't be in with the ACC championship. I don't know what that means at the bottom there, but if SMU wins the ACC championship game, they're in. They're in. ACC champion is going to be in. And they're going to get the 11th seed. Unless it's Miami, if they win it, somehow they get into it, they might be the 10th seed or the 9th seed. We've got a super chat. We'll get back to those playoff projections in a moment. Nitwit, what is going to go down with the coaching carousel in the next few weeks is going to blow people's minds. Expect the unexpected. I have on my phone, I've gotten quite a few DMs from Penn State fans now believing that they might be in the Lane Kiffin race because of Josh Pate's tweet. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Penn State going after Lane Kiffin. Again, if you missed it, Josh Pate, I don't know if he's trolling. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know why he would say something like this, to be honest. I know where Lane will be in 2026. All I can say is, wow. If Josh Pate is being serious, then it's been leaked. That first of all, if Josh Pate is being serious, on this post, which I don't know if he is or not. But that means that, number one, he's got information that Lane Kiffin has actually made a decision. Number two, Josh Pate knows what that decision is. And number three, it's not LSU. Because he said, wow. So it could mean that he's staying at Ole Miss. But I don't even know if that fits in, and all I can say is, wow. I don't know. Pate's Hyperboy. Thank you so much, Nitwit, for the super chat. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Who does Nitwit believe that Penn State is targeting? Could it be Lane Kiffin? Could it be Lane Kiffin? What is Nitwit? What is Nitwit alluding to here when he says expect the unexpected? We're going to open up the phone lines in just a little bit. RT, Pate's Hyperboil is exhaustive. Yeah, I don't know. He's done this before and nothing seems to come out of it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Stephen McNeely, Lane Kiffin does not give off a Penn State vibe. I agree. Is that about the Lincoln Riley thing? Where Josh Pate talked about Lincoln Riley? Or you're saying Lincoln Riley to Penn State? I don't know. Look, USC's got the #1 recruiting class in the nation, according to the recruiting rankings. I think Lincoln Riley, I think he's optimistic about what is going on there. I don't see Lane at Penn State. Who do you see, Bob Swanger? Who do you see at Penn State? Bob Chesney, James Madison head coach? The craziest thing would be Lane going to the football Giants, hooking up with Dart. Ooh, that would be something. That would be a wow. That would be a wow. think, we're talking about this. You know what? Let me put up this. Hold on. I want to put up the standings of the American. We're talking about the decision that Lane Kiffin is going through right now, right? Staying at Ole Miss. Ole Miss looks like they're going to go to the playoffs. If they beat Mississippi State next Friday, of course they're going to go to the playoffs. And you've got Lane Kiffin trying to decide, do I stay at Ole Miss, LSU, Florida? What about Eric Morris of North Texas? Look at the job that he has done. That quarterback, that running back, that offense. 509 points scored. 509. What about Eric Morris? What about Eric Morris taking his quarterback and running back to, Stillwater, Oklahoma? Going to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Being the new head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys? The quarterback mess maker who's had a brilliant season. Completion, 70% completion ratings. 26 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. And then they've got their running back, Caleb Hawkins, who's already over 1,000. He's over 1,000 yards, even with all that passing they do at North Texas, averaging over 6 yards a carry, about 20 touchdowns. The offense has been an absolute machine. Now, Oklahoma State. Let me ask a question. MBM. Let me ask you this question. If North Texas wins the American Championship game, what would be Oklahoma State's position in letting Eric Morris go through the playoff process? They're coming in as a 12th seed. They're going to play a 5th seed. They're probably going to get beat. No disrespect to North Texas. You may have the upset. I'm Mr. Cinderella. I believe in this. I want 2 G6 teams in the playoffs, in a 2014 playoff. But I'm just saying, if North Texas probably will lose that first round game, would Oklahoma State be okay? They have everything run silent. Eric Morris is the head coach. And wait till Eric Morris gets to Oklahoma State before he starts building that roster, before he starts going to work in the portal and everything else. Or would Oklahoma State suggest heavily that Eric Morris should probably recuse himself from being North Texas head coach during the playoffs? But if you do that, you might run the danger of losing him. MBM said Oklahoma State would do the respectful thing and UNT all the way until they're out. MBM says, at least I hope they would. RT is like, we're talking about the Pokes. There's no telling what they do. If I could, I would pass the hat for a Penn State and DeBoer buyout. Billy, thank you for coming on in. I appreciate it, Mr. Roll Tide. But don't have all caps. We don't do all caps in the comment section. Do not have to do all caps. Sean Wallace, Alfred just tied his rope to Norvell. I started the show off. That's tough. I do not agree with that. I think it's a terrible decision for Florida State. We got a super chat from Hammer Hennison. Hammer Hennison super chat. I got a feeling Wisconsin takes home the axe. Well, you know what? I'm not going to be able to get myself to say that, obviously. But yeah, it's I don't want to talk about the Gophers. Look, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, I said at the time that they were the worst 6-3 team in the nation. And I wasn't saying that out of hyperbole. I wasn't saying that to get clicks because I didn't even advertise. They were the worst 6-3 team in the nation. I also said they're the worst 6-4 team in the nation. I also believe they're the worst 6-5 team in the nation. They have been bullied against every team they have played this year, except for Nebraska. And I don't think Nebraska's any good. I've said that. I mean, they're better, I guess, than they were last year, but Nebraska's not any good. So they're not. Congratulations on Nebraska's record is fraudulent. Gophers' record is really fraudulent. I predicted that Northwestern would gain 535 yards of offense, and they gained 525 yards of offense. The Gophers do not have, and I don't know what we're going to do next year. I do not know how we turn this around. The football, we're 6-5. Our metrics show us as a 3-8 team. 3-8. We're 6-5 on the record. And I know winning the game is important. Winning is hard. I get all that. But we have been literally beat every single game we have played against a team with the pulse. Except Nebraska. Purdue beat us. But not on the scoreboard. But Purdue outplayed us. Not even close. Purdue, who has the Boilermakers, who have not won a conference game this year, blew our doors off. Rutgers blew our doors off. Iowa, Buckeyes, Oregon, Northwestern, they pushed us around like it was nothing. If you line the Golden, I love my Gophers. But I sit here and I try to be honest with all your teams. You all get upset with me. So I'm going to have the Gopher fans upset. I've had them upset with me all year. If you had the Olympics, if you had the college football Olympics with all the Power 4 teams, and you lined up the Gophers against all the other Power 4 teams, and you had the high jump and the track and the decathlon and the whatever all these sports are in the Olympics, the Gophers would finish last. Especially the weightlifting contest. What is that? Okay, what is that thing? What is that thing where one side pulls a rope and the other side pulls a rope? What is that called? I forget what that is called. You know, there's a rope, tug of war. There you go. Thank you, Jose. Hold on one second. Tug of war. If the Gophers got in a tug of war with any other team in the Big Ten, they would lose. They would absolutely get shattered. They would get pulled across that line. They physically cannot hold up to anybody. And that's the exact opposite of all the FLEC teams until this year. There's a hidden story on Golden Gophers this year. Their portal, remember everybody ranked the Gophers as one of the best teams out of the portal last year? If you look at the 247 rankings, if you look at these rankings, they barely played anybody out. When the guys that got in the portal, they played Javon Tracy, the wide receiver from Miami of Ohio. He's had a pretty good year. Everybody else hasn't played. Why? A lot of them even, because it's being called a cultural issue. We got guys in the portal on our team that were ranked very high in the portal, and they ended up being unreliable. In the classroom, on the practice field, unreliable. And under FLEC, you're not going to play. So we completely missed. That's all I'm going to say about my Gophers are in trouble next year. They are in trouble. They need a blessed miracle in the portal. Our offensive line and defensive line, our secondary, we are going to get shattered next. And we're not going to be able to pull out these miracle wins to go 6-5. I think we can lose to anybody, Studzilla. I think we can lose to anybody quite easily. Quite easily. Penn State did not make a bad decision passing on Rule. Thank you for the super chat, Heartbreak 25. Do I think Matt Rule is doing a horrible job at Nebraska? No, I don't. Do they have some talent? Yes, they do. But I don't know what's going on at Lincoln. They can never get themselves a decent offensive line, and that defense is horrible this year. The defense is dreadful. It is. It's horrific. They can't. They're like the Gophers. They can't stop the run. I don't know what's going on in Nebraska. They're not any good either. Look at Florida State. They usually get more yards than their opponents, but they still lose. And the Gophers give up way more yards than they get. And again, for the Gophers, one last thing. We're not talking about the Gophers anymore. But Drake Lindsey, our freshman quarterback, again was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's one hell of a quarterback. If they lose him in the portal, because people know, you all know, they all know that Drake Lindsey is a very good quarterback. He's got three more years of eligibility. He's got no offensive line. No offensive line ahead of him. He's got no running game. Literally, no running game. Below average receivers. A terrible defense. Drake Lindsey has got no help. And look at the season he has put together for the Gophers as a freshman. Oh, yeah. People are going to be, they're already calling. God forbid we lose Drake Lindsey. God forbid that happens. Oh, and here's another thing I want to talk about. BYU football has reminded me. BYU front loaded this season with the collectives. They are using this year's revenue share for 2026 recruiting, plus $15 million on the 26th season. There are all these promises, reported promises, that these programs are going to give Lane Kiffin $25 million in NIL money beyond the rev share money for the players. These schools can't promise that. You can't promise how much NIL money you're going to be able to deliver. You can say, I mean, obviously they're going to put out a lot of money. They're going to have a lot of deals. But unless you have it all lined up, all these deals all lined up, and you know exactly what the clearinghouse is going to approve. Remember, you just can't give players what they want. Those days are over. So you got to get these deals approved. So everybody's promising. You can promise that we are going to do everything we can. We've got all these companies lined up, but you can't promise an exact number. You can't do that. And everybody out there is saying, we're going to give more than anybody else. The other team, we're going to give more than it. So really, at the end of the day, hardly anybody has an advantage. This is still, when you get up to a certain point of investment in football, this is still an evaluation, developmental game. At a certain point, the differences between the Buckeyes and the Ducks and the Bulldogs, Georgia and Alabama and Miami and Florida State and all these top programs, the difference is evaluation and development and having the right roster to fix what you want to do as a football program. Your coaching. That's the difference. And that is what I think Florida State is forgetting. They're talking about, well, we're going to invest even more. We're going to change the recruiting staff. We're going to do all this stuff. I think you got to switch out your head coach. Because I think it's pretty bad. Bill G. Wow. Bill G. Gifted membership once again. My goodness, Bill G. does it again. You, Bill G. are knighted. Cloak and Dagger, Bob Swanger, Michael Nittany 89, MGC Sooner, and Brad Darden 8549. You've all been gifted a membership by Bill G's generosity. All of you are officially knighted, Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Bill G. I appreciate it. Welcome to the family, everybody. Go to our episodes, our library of episodes, and watch them all, including members only Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bill G. Appreciate it. When you get a chance, say thank you to Bill G. For the 5 who were gifted a membership, please say thank you to Bill G for his incredible generosity. Okay, so let's get to your phone calls. And hopefully the phones work today. And of course, I have made these comments, and I'm getting vilified once again. You know what? Before we get to phone calls, just let me hit a couple points real quick. Former Ohio State and West Virginia President Gordon Gee implores college leaders to consolidate media rights, optimize football scheduling to generate more revenue, save an industry that is fragmented and in crisis. Well, good luck. I get it. Gordon Lee has every right to try to get some traction around consolidating media rights and have somebody control the football scheduling and these Super League ideas. Good luck getting Michigan on board, USC on board, Alabama on board, Georgia on board, Ohio State on board. Good luck. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about Super League stuff or consolidation of media rights because it just isn't going to happen. It isn't. Now, there might be a Super League of 24 or 32 or 36 teams, something like that. That might happen. That might happen. That is why Michigan wants to keep its options open. That might happen. But the idea of a 70 team, we all consolidate, we can't get anybody, we can't get any big group of schools to agree on anything. You think they're going to agree on a consolidating media rights? Again, the membership, let's point to another thing that's going on here. Cody Campbell, all of your favorite in Big 12 country, Cody Campbell. At regions the reporting is accurate. At least 2 power conference schools were considering not signing the CSC agreement, which is the agreement in which the schools would not help a third party sue the NCAA and the Power Four conferences for the decisions that the CSC in Deloitte Clearinghouse and everybody else makes. It's a membership letter in stating our school will not help our state attorney or any other third outside party to sue us. That's what this participation agreement is all about. Cody Campbell, off of Amanda Kristovich reporting, this reporting is accurate. As Regent as a state school, we have the responsibility to monitor, evaluate, approve. There are certainly significant issues with the current form of this CSC agreement, but I have no doubt with the proper engagement and feedback, very much unlike the Big Ten process we just witnessed, the Big 12 will be able to reach a form of agreement that will align with the state law and appropriate university governance and best practices. We will get this thing done. Okay, so Cody Campbell does not like what the CSC agreement is doing here. Here's the problem with a couple of this. Number one, this is the presidents who wanted, created, in part of the House settlement agreement, the House versus NCAA settlement. They created the CSC. They created the Deloitte Clearinghouse. They created the rev share. They created this form of governance in concert with the House lawyers. The House lawyers had all the Big Four, the Power Four schools under their thumb in this class action lawsuit. So we all of our schools agreed on this formation. So we would pay $2.8 billion in back pay instead of a potential $15 billion in back pay, $20 billion in back pay. So we agreed with this. This CSC agreement is basically saying, as a school, and this is coming from the presidents of the Power Four programs. They asked the CSC to write this up. Now, of course, Cody Campbell cannot write a post anymore that does not throw an elbow at the Big Ten. Because he believes that the Big Ten did not have proper engagement or feedback because 2 schools did not want to sign the UC investment deal. Which, by the way, Cody Campbell is absolutely incorrect. I don't think he cares. I really don't think Cody Campbell cares anymore. And the Big Ten doesn't, and I said this, they do not care about Cody Campbell. So they're both going to be throwing elbows at each other. So Cody Campbell doesn't want Texas Tech to sign this. All right? So, and that is his prerogative, and it's all the other schools' prerogative. Nobody has to sign it. A couple of schools don't sign it, the whole thing collapses. Okay, another thing that collapses. All right, congratulations. If you want to help your attorney general, if you want as a school, if the CSC makes a ruling and you don't like it, you can go to your attorney general and you can sue the CSC. You can sue the NCAA. Congratulations. Now what? Now that House settlement deal evaporates, it gets written up, and now instead of a $2.8 billion back pay, we're back to risking a $15 to $20 billion back pay. At some point, we got to govern ourselves. We got to go by the rules. We got to go by the rules and the enforcement of the rules. Oh, but great. They did not do, they did this in a class action lawsuit. This wasn't how it was supposed to be done. But this is how it was done. But great, don't you understand? Because, you know, schools are not just going to follow the rules. They're going to look out for themselves. When Texas Tech is a member of the Big 12, they follow the Big 12 rules. They follow the Big 12. Michigan got their hands slapped by Tony Petitti. They did not like it. They were going to appeal, but they really never did. They handed out the punishment, and Michigan eventually took the punishment. And the NCAA punishment, which they are not going to appeal. At some point, you have, if you want to be a part of an association, you got to follow there's got to be rules on the governance. So for those who always want the lawyers to go to court, for those who are thirsting for destruction, my question is, what the hell do you want? What do you want? You're not going to be able to get everything what you want anyways, number one. It's not going to be perfect, number two. Even under a CBA world, you still have to follow the rules. Your school still has to follow the rules. What do you want? Every time one of these lawyers, every time one of these agents say something on X, because they don't want anything to be built. Have you ever noticed that? These lawyers, these agents that are paid by, these agents pay the lawyers to be their advocates on X. Every time they say something, it's can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And then you get these hundreds of college football fans going, you're right, you're right, you're right. Right about what? They don't want anything to be settled. They don't want anything to be built. They don't want any governance. They want Major League Baseball. These agents and the lawyers that are paid by the agents want to satisfy the top percent, the top 2% of the student athletes. They want to run this like Major League Baseball because that's how they get the most money. The agents. And people keep falling for the same crap over and over and over again. It's like it's cool not to have rules. It's cool that there's no governance. It's cool that we all can cheat. This is great, Greg. Same old stuff, year after year after year. And now we're seeing it again. Every single school, I don't care what school you are. I don't care, Chris Kenny. I really don't. You signed the dotted line. Every school signed on it. This is the rev share. This is how we got to the rev share. This is the Deloitte Clearinghouse. This is the CSC. These are the rules. Follow it. If you don't, goodbye $2.8 billion back pay. Welcome $20 billion back pay. Who's going to pay for that? The schools. It's like, God forbid, look, the NBA has rules. The NFL has rules. Everything has rules and they follow it, and they don't follow it, they get penalized, they get punished. Why can't that happen in college sports? Why is it always so, oh, we can't do that to us. We can't do that to us. My God. So, every single school signed the House NCAA settlement. Name a school and they signed it. All this participation letter is all you're saying is our school who signed the settlement will not help third parties sue us. It ain't going to stop the suits. Attorney generals are still going to sue. Third party are going to sue. Lawyers are going to line up until this thing gets codified, which a lot of people don't want it codified. The lawyers and the agents on X don't want anything codified. They don't want any structure. They want chaos because that's how they make the most money. But yet I see college football fans over and over, people running college football YouTube channels, cheering on these schmucks. Like they're the heroes of the story. They're not. They're not. They just want destruction. I don't get it. I don't get why people don't see that. My God, it's frustrating. My gosh. All right, let's go to the phone calls. No rules, no enforcement. That's the way to go. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. What do you think the playoff committee is going to do here?
Call from
Rick.
Rick, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
Oh, it's the Wild Wild West.
And people love it. And we're going to continue to have it. And it's going to lead to destruction. And I think people are going to actually cheer for it. But go ahead, Rick.
Well, you got to pay the marshal. Got to hire the marshal.
Mm-hmm. And all that takes money. Go ahead.
It all takes. Yeah, you got to have bagman. Got to have bagman.
Yep. We'll go back. We're going to go back to the
Bagman
bagman real quick here.
Oh, no, not going back. Always has been. Hasn't stopped. It's only people pretending that it's stopped. It hasn't stopped. And the future, the way I see it, is when it comes time for looking for head coaches, I think you're seeing it right now. And the Sun Devils are a good example where you're not only stealing their head coach, you're also bringing along some prime real estate with their quarterback and whoever might tag along with the head coach.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the example of the future. I mean, you could see it next season, maybe with an Arkansas taking a PJ Fleck and his quarterback.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, that's an example.
Yeah, I mean, as an example, you can pick the head coach and you can pick the top players, but they come in as a package deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious as to your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that's going to keep occurring. And I think that's pretty smart for the team that's hiring the coach. You know, it's like, because everybody wants a quick turnaround, right? You're putting a lot of money in this new coach and the coaching staff. You're probably putting money into a buyout, the coach that you just got rid of. So if you're going to bring somebody in, if they've got a quarterback, if they've got a running back all lined up, potentially the offensive coordinator of that quarterback that the head coach is interested in, that's a pretty good start on a rebuilding of a program. That's what Kirk Cinetti did, right? So
I think that's what the Hokies are doing.
that's what the Hokies are doing. Because I think they've already got a couple commitments that were Penn State commitments. Now they're Virginia Tech commitments. Yep.
Okay, I'm just curious on your idea on that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it, Rick. We got a super chat. Helmer Hennison. Will Minnesota be hamstrung by Darius Taylor next year? Thank you for the $2 holler, Hammer Hennison. Most likely, yes. And most likely, same thing is going to happen as the 3 previous years. Unfortunately.
From
Fred.
Greg, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Hey, Greg. Got 3 questions for you. I'd like to get your opinion on. You mentioned that if Michigan beats Ohio State, they would probably make the playoffs. Which team do you think the committee would drop out, Alabama or Notre Dame?
That's a great question. Now that depends, right? Because the Alabama thing is kind of, are they going to, if Alabama wins, are they in the SEC championship? If they beat Auburn, are they definitely in the SEC championship game?
Yes, they definitely are.
Okay, so but Texas A&M definitely is not in, right? If they lose their last game, they're definitely not. They're definitely not in.
They're definitely not in, but they're not going to drop them from 3 to 11, are they?
You know, I'm just trying to get a grasp of who. If Alabama loses that SEC championship game, I think Alabama would get replaced.
Okay, even though the committee has said they wouldn't punish a team.
People keep.
It's one of those spoken but unwritten rules.
Yeah, I
so
don't.
I guess it could.
Boy. I don't. It's a great question. Now, it's a great question. It really is. Michigan, if I remember correctly, they lost to Oklahoma and they lost to USC.
Correct.
Notre Dame, they lost to Texas A&M in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I don't know. I just either Alabama or Notre Dame. Look, they're not gonna take Oklahoma out if Oklahoma wins, right?
No,
their last game. They beat Oklahoma has beaten both Alabama and Michigan, and they have a very good resume.
And I don't see them dropping Mississippi out.
Well, now if they lose to Mississippi State, yeah, but if they don't, they're not dropping Mississippi out. No. So yeah, Notre Dame or Alabama, and that might seem unfair, but if I look at it from the other direction, Michigan beating the number 1 team in the nation. Jeez, I don't know how you keep Michigan out, because if the Buckeyes lose that game, they're still going to be one of the favorites to win the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? It's like
I do.
So I do think it's going to be Alabama or Notre Dame. It could be Notre Dame. It could be Notre Dame.
A lot of people think the committee just has this fondness for Notre Dame no matter what.
I don't think I have a bias for Notre Dame. I don't think anyone would accuse me of having a bias for Notre Dame. I do see the weakness in their resume, but damn, I think Notre Dame's a very good football team. So, just like last year, I thought they were one hell of a football team, and they proved it in the playoffs. And I think they would prove it in the playoffs this year.
I do too. I agree with you.
I don't know. Again, the playoffs are not big enough in this new world of college football. It just isn't. So
it isn't, and this is a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you another question then. Okay, BYU beats Texas Tech in a close game.
Yeah.
You dropped Texas Tech from 5 to 11.
No, I would drop them to either 10 or 9.
Okay, so then you're again going to have the same question: is it Notre Dame or Alabama that's going to be out?
Yeah, I'm not taking Texas Tech out. I would not take Texas Tech out. They lost to Arizona State, and if they lose to BYU, and again, and I know what the committees are kind of saying on the championship game, and no, teams should not be punished for losing a competitive game in the championship game. But these teams are so like, if Texas Tech got blown out, and they're not going to get blown out. No, I would have Texas Tech still in the playoffs. I think they're basically a lock.
Okay, and then here's the third and final question I had before I made my call. Okay, Alabama does make the playoffs, and they beat Texas Tech. Do you keep is Alabama clinching their playoff spot with that win? Of course they are, because they're going to be the champion.
Yeah.
So you're not going to drop anybody off at that point.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, well, except for possibly Alabama. No, you're saying if Alabama wins the SEC championship game?
They're automatically in.
And then the only team, and then if BYU beats Texas Tech, then you can't drop anybody, even if Michigan beats Ohio State.
Right.
Which again, from my selfish standpoint, who wants complete chaos, that would be a beautiful thing. But boy, that would be a nightmare scenario for the playoff committee.
I'll tell you, it'll guarantee a lot of press one way or the other.
Yes, it would.
Okay, Greg. Well, I was just curious what your thoughts were on that.
You got it, buddy. Beautiful call,
Take care.
sir. Beautiful.
Bye.
Beautiful call, and that's what I'm hoping for.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Take care.
You've got a beautiful call by Greg. Greg is a great caller to this program. Unbelievable. Look, and then you've got Miami. Yeah, I'm saying no to Miami too on that scenario. But the playoffs are not big enough. They're not big enough. And Army of 24. Go to the playoffs to 24. And then the people's response to that is, well, Greg, no matter how big you get it, people are going to be on the outside looking in, and they're going to be upset on it, right? And I say that's a good thing. I want that. That's part of the drama. part of college football. Some teams are not going to make it in that they thought they should make it in. We're still going to have that. But in a large 24-team playoff AQ model, you're going to be able to tell those teams that don't quite make it, you're going to be able to say to them, well, you know what? Maybe you should have, maybe you should have made it. Maybe you shouldn't have. Very close. Could have went either way. But what you could have done is you could have finished in the top 4 of your conference standings. And you didn't. That was one big bite of the apple. And you came up short on the second bite of the apple. But in this world, you're in this new world of college football where the talent is being spread out. There's rev share money is being spent. Big time programs are falling apart right now because of evaluation and development, and other programs that are not investing as much are doing outstanding work because of their spending money like they did not before. You have this democratization of the sport. 12 teams ain't big enough. 16 teams is not big enough. 24, I think after 24, it's the laws of diminishing return. And then so another response I get are people saying, well, Greg, if you had a 24-team playoff and not this 12, look how much conversation we're having around this 12-team playoff. This is good for the sport. We don't know if Miami can get in. We don't know if BYU can get in if they lose the Big 12 championship. Look at Alabama. Look at Greg. If we had a 24-team playoff, Alabama would know that they're in. That's not good for the sport, Greg. My point is this. We would still be having those conversations around those same teams. But the conversation would completely change. It would not be, are they in or are they out? Is, can they get that first round bye and have a second round home game? Or they're going to have to play in the first round, have a home game. Or they're going to play in the first round, but not have a home game. And then you have the extension of all those teams that would have a shot to get in the 24-team playoff. You'd be looking at your conference standings, and then you would be looking at your 6 at-large bids. Fundamentally, what the 24-team playoff does is give teams 2 bites at the apple. You have your conference races. You have your conference standings. If you finish in the top 4, you're in. If you don't, you still have a spot, and a large spot, like Miami Hurricanes. Look at the Big 12 this year. Utah would be in. Or there would be in. We need a larger playoffs, in my opinion. I think 24 is a perfect number. Now, 99% of the football reporters are completely against it. The Southeastern Conference is completely against it. Yormark doesn't want to poke his head out and say, I'm for the 24 team. Phillips can't say it. So we got an uphill battle. Army of 24, we got an uphill battle.
Call from
Nitwit, can you hold on for just a moment, please?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it so very much. We've got a super chat that I want to get to. Very generous super chat. Helmer Hennison. Would athletic director Greg Pflugar retain the head coach of Michigan State? Ooh, that's a great question. This is only his second year, so I would say yes. I would give him a third year. But this is very disappointing. Extremely disappointing for the Spartans. I would say yes. I would say yes. Chris Kinney, we're talking about the freaking playoffs. This is supposed to be the best of the rest. The NFL, how many teams do they get in the playoffs out of how many teams? How many teams make the NFL playoffs out of how many teams in the NFL? The NHL, the NBA, NCAA basketball. I have no problem with 3 lost teams making the playoffs or a 4 lost team making the playoffs. If they finish in the top 4 of their standings, they should be in. Teams are allowed to get better. Teams are allowed to get better in the NBA. Teams are allowed to get better in the NFL. Wild card teams win the Super Bowl. We have NCAA Cinderella stories in basketball. It's okay in football. It's so everything is going to be okay. The world is not going to blow up with a 2014 playoff and an 8-4 team makes the playoff. Not going to blow up, in my opinion. But thank you for your opinion, Chris Kinney. Nitwit, the floor is yours. What is going on in Penn State country? Who is the leading candidate for the head coach job? Go ahead, sir. Let it rip.
Hey, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, but I have to tell every Penn State fan out there, there's a lot of coaches that can succeed at Penn State. So don't get too worried. People get in the weeds. You hear all the candidates and, this national narrative. One reason why I brought the super chat in was expect the unexpected. Mm-hmm. This always goes this way. This national narrative is basically to get some certain coaches paid. You've seen it, Greg.
Yep.
I mean, Mike Elko was never going to go to Penn State, but he got an extension and he's making more money at Texas A&M now. It's just the games that are going on. I heard Colin Cowherd bringing up a name, and I'm like, what, Penn State? What? They're just trying to get people paid, get extensions, that whole feedback loop with media people and feeding them what they need. What did Cowherd say? What, Greg?
You said Colin Cowherd?
Yeah, he brought up a name for Penn State, and I forget what it was, but it was somebody, and I'm like, there's no way. I mean, they're just dropping names.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get people, paid and extensions and all that kind of stuff. And, Penn State's going to be fine. We're going to find a nice coach. We're going to be a good program. Don't worry about it. There's just people losing their minds right now. I have to say, it was electric in Happy Valley last night. Nebraska came to town. It was like old school Penn State football again, just running the ball, play action pass, power football, wide open receivers. You haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah.
And it was refreshing to see that. And shout out to Terry Smith, an old school Penn State guy, leading us through this really dark period in our program. We had to get rid of our coach. And like I said, let me reiterate, there was not a chance that Franklin would have came back and been on that sideline after the Northwestern game. There would have been no chance. He was going to be fired, and for people to have this revisionist history that, you made a mistake and this and that and this and that, he wouldn't have come back. I mean, it was the best for both people, and I'm kind of glad that you just hear these people talk about, well, they made a mistake, and Franklin, they should have kept Franklin and all this and that. And no, that's not what was on the ground. You weren't in that stadium when people were yelling at him.
Yeah.
It's just not, it wasn't the situation on the ground. So I just wanted to call in and talk about the playoff a little bit. Greg, can we get there? Should we get to the same place if you backload some of that games into the conferences? You understand what I'm saying? You would have the top 4 teams in a conference go into a tournament to win the tournament championship, and then those top 2 teams go to the playoffs.
You could, except the SEC and the Big Ten would never go for it, especially the Southeastern Conference.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
I think the Big Ten and the SEC, they need to we got to get away from the committee.
Yeah.
Right now, the top 4 teams out of the top 4 conferences and 2 at-large bids, you don't need a committee. The Big Ten and the SEC need to work it out. As just a fan of college football,
Yeah.
like you better figure it out, because this committee thing is just not. It's not sustainable. It doesn't work very well. Just have it set. The top 4 teams, in each conference play each other, and then those top 2 teams, you have 4 teams in a semifinal, and the top 2 teams out of every conference go to a playoff.
Well, you do need at-large bids.
Right.
Need 'em.
Right, but there's 4, you have 8, you have the G5, right?
Yeah.
And how many teams, you can take 2 out of the G5? They probably wouldn't agree to that, but I'm just saying, or the G6, whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying there's a way to get there, Greg, and it needs to happen. We got to get out. We got to get away from this committee thing.
Yeah.
This committee model, it's an invitational. It's still an invitational. It's not a true, like the NFL model, you have conferences, you have seeding, people win their divisions, they go to the playoffs. We don't have a committee sitting down saying, Kansas City is the 7th seed and they're going to play. It's just, when you sit back and you talk about it, Greg, it's just idiotic. So they got to figure it out.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say that, and what a college football season this has been. Pretty exciting. We're going to see how everything play out. Like I said, you've seen coaches search before, Greg. Expect the unexpected.
You got it, buddy.
There's going to be one. I heard through my rumors, there's a big name coach out there no one's talking about that's going to go to Penn State. Everybody hears. Don't get set in this media narrative that this person's going to go here.
Got it.
Or Lane Kiffin's going to Florida or LSU. Who knows where all these people are going to go, but expect the unexpected. That's all I got to say, man.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it, Nitwit.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Yeah, in one of the, so just to get back, I even in my dream scenario of the playoffs, you're still gonna have to have the playoff selection committee to straight seed the playoff tournament, and there's still gonna be some at-large bids. They have to be some at-large bids. So in my perfect world of the 4-4-4-4-6-2, basically what I'm putting out there is there are gonna be 6 selections from the playoff committee, and 18 of them are going to be from out of bids. Or if you want to, I'll put it differently. I'll put it a little bit differently because of the G6 situation. 16 teams are going to make it by what happens on the football field, finishing the top 4 of the conference. And then 8 of them are going to be selected by the committee. So 33% of the teams are going to still be selected by the committee. The top 2 rated G6 conference champions, and then 6 at-large bids. So 16 and 8. Versus the world that we have now, which is 5 and 7. By the way, but the top ranked teams are all basically by the committee anyway. So it's really all 12 teams. But the 5 plus 11 is 11 at-large bids. So again, I want to make it where you still have that selection committee. They do the straight seeding. They pick out their large spot there, but there are 16 spots that are happening because of what you did in your conference, which is like what most sports are like, right? How, or in your division in NFL. Anyways, we've got ourselves a membership for 24 months Expedition Greg, Mr. Buckeye, my goodness, 2 years Expedition Greg has been a member of this program. Thank you so very much, Expedition Greg, for your generosity, your friendship, all the help you've given us. Expedition Greg, go Buckeyes. The most important week is upon us. The game, Michigan, Ohio State. Buckle up, everybody. Buckle up. Buckle up. Ooh, that's going to be a... Again, I think if Michigan wins that game, I don't think they will, but I said that last year that they won. I think if Michigan wins that game, they're going to find themselves into the playoffs. But, earlier Greg had a great caller called in and basically gave us the scenarios. And maybe it isn't 100% locked that Michigan would make it in if certain things happen in the conference championship games the following week. But, I think this is a playoff game for Michigan. A lot of chaos can still happen. No question about it. Let me, there's a few other great questions here I want to get to. Marcus Williams, we are going for 5 in a row. Okay, where was that comment? Where is Movie Time Blues? Movie Time Blues. Greg, what did you make of the Irish Illustrated Insider claiming unhappiness with donor circles about the ACC brass campaigning for Miami? Yeah, if you missed it, I believe his name is John Bryce, who works Sports Illustrated, writes some columns for Notre Dame, basically stating that Notre Dame is not happy with the ACC because the ACC, at least their media people, their social media people, there has been a little bit of a campaign, right, saying Miami possibly should be ahead of Notre Dame when it comes to selection of the playoffs. So supposedly the Notre Dame people are unhappy because in their rules, I guess, they're not supposed to be campaigning against each other. I find that very odd because Notre Dame is not an ACC football team. They're not. So I don't know why the ACC would ever say no. I don't quite get the argument from Notre Dame's perspective. But again, if he's saying, he's saying that he called it like a Cold War between Notre Dame and ACC. My thought on when I read it, when I listened to what he said about Notre Dame being pissed off at the ACC, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't. Because it's never been really warm between the ACC and Notre Dame. It really hasn't. They have an agreement. They have a lot of different agreements. But they're not... It's always been a Cold War type of relationship. It's not like they're all walking in, they're not all locking arms. So I really don't think this is much different than anything. I don't think it's going to lead to anything. They're just going to be, Notre Dame is going to be pissed off at the ACC, and that's just how it is. Rock and Rant, I've got an answer for Notre Dame. People upset about ACC campaigning for Miami, join the damn conference. Who gives a crap about your tears? I would agree. I mean, Notre Dame is not part of the conference. So, yeah, ACC should campaign not just Miami versus Notre Dame, but Miami versus Alabama, Miami versus Oregon, Miami versus Michigan, if Michigan happens to upset Ohio State. Notre Dame is not part of the ACC football conference. They're not. So I don't understand the argument from Notre Dame perspective. But I also don't think it's a big deal that Notre Dame is pissed because I don't think it's going to lead to anything. I don't think Notre Dame is going to say, oh, we're so upset that the ACC stabbed us that we're now going to call Tony Petitti and join the Big Ten, or we're going to have a scheduling agreement with the Southeastern Conference or whatever. It's always been a little bit, Notre Dame and Florida State have not gotten along. There's a lot of stuff going on. So it's not a fracture like the Big Ten fracture. The Big Ten has a fracture. Notre Dame ain't part of the ACC football conference, and Notre Dame has made it quite clear that they're not joining the ACC, just like they've made it quite clear they're not joining the Big Ten. That may change sometime down the line, but I don't think it's causing a fracture. Rockin' Rat with another comment. Don Scruggs, ACC bends the knee at Notre Dame. You will not believe how entitled the leprechaun is. Marcus William, Miami resume would not hold up against Michigan if we beat Ohio State. Boy, I just don't see Michigan beating Ohio State. I don't see the Buckeyes losing to anybody. So, I don't. I think they're the prohibitive favorite in the playoffs. I don't see them losing. I think Jeremiah Smith got a little nicked up. He'll probably get healthy. Carnell Tate. They're going to have some time out between the last game, the Big Ten championship game, and the playoffs. I don't think the off weeks are going to cause any problems for the Buckeyes. I think they're better than the team that rolled over the Volunteers last year in the playoffs and won the championship, beat Notre Dame. They're better this year than last year. And I say that now because of the emergence of the running game in Bo Jackson. Because that was the one unit that the Buckeyes were behind this year versus last year's team. But not anymore. Buckeyes got everything. They got everything. They're loaded up. No way Notre Dame gets kept out of the college football playoffs. They're too big of a draw. If Michigan wins, if they beat the Buckeyes, which I don't think they will, but if they do, and Alabama goes on to win the SEC, there is a way that Notre Dame gets booted out. Not much of a chance, but there is a way I think they can get booted out. And I think Notre Dame is one hell of a football team this year. I defend Notre Dame's football team. It's not a big enough playoffs. In this college football world, it's not a big enough playoff. You can enlarge the playoffs and it still would not be a participation trophy type of event. This is a different world. And this is a different world. It is. It's a different world, man. Playoffs are not big enough. All right, everybody. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. We are going to sign off here. I want to thank everybody who has donated to our channel. John Teal, Nitwit, Helmer Hennison, Bill G, Heartbreak 25, Buckeye, John Teal. Again, Big Ten has a fracture. ACC has a fissure. Thank you, John Teal, for the super chat. I did not see that. I apologize. Thank you very much, sir. And even with that fracture, it's not like USC and Michigan are going away anytime soon, right? Even with that fracture, they're not going. They're not leaving. Unless somebody can tell me about Michigan going to the courts, they're not doing that. USC's not going to the courts. So even with that fracture, there ain't going to be no Big Ten change. In the ACC, with Notre Dame's supposed anger to the ACC, there is that's not the reason why Notre Dame would leave the ACC. But I do want to thank everybody who has donated to our channel, the comments, the great phone calls. I do appreciate it. We'll get back here Monday, November 24th, where once again we talk about the college football playoff projections, the rankings that are going to be coming out Tuesday night. We are going to be going over the Lane Kiffin drama, Penn State possible new head coach. And we're also going to be talking about something that I haven't yet discussed live here on these programs. A little bit of nugget of information that if I have time, we might release first on our early Peak Cloak and Dagger episodes, membership only episodes. I might have to do that if I find some time. But so tomorrow going to be a very interesting show. I hope you show up. And please, before you leave, subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button. And until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gopher.